If you've ever noticed how quickly worms disappear from your garden once the heat kicks in or when winter dries things out, you're not alone. Many gardeners struggle to maintain steady worm populations year-round. Worms are the backbone of living soil. They aerate, fertilize, and feed the microbial web. But they're also sensitive, too hot, too dry, or too cold, and they vanish into deeper layers or die off completely. Yet the Amish have quietly mastered the art of keeping worms active through every season, and it's all because of a simple, time-tested soil management trick that most modern gardeners overlook. The Amish focus on feeding the soil, not the plants. Unlike conventional gardening, which often relies on direct feeding through fertilizers, the Amish treat the soil as a living organism that must be nourished continuously. Their trick for maintaining worms year-round centers on slow-fermenting organic cover layers, a natural mulch system that doubles as a food source and insulation blanket for soil life. Rather than dumping compost all at once, they maintain a thin, layered mix of partially decomposed organic matter, such as cow manure, chopped straw, and a small amount of fermented grain mash. This layer serves two critical purposes. First, it keeps the soil surface moist and buffered from temperature swings, which worms absolutely need. Second, it acts as a constant slow-release buffet of microbial activity that never runs out. Where most gardeners feed in bursts, the Amish feed continuously, creating a steady microbial pulse that keeps worms active even when surface conditions would normally drive them away. The secret lies in balancing carbon, nitrogen, and microbial inoculants. The Amish never just throw organic material on the soil. They maintain a careful ratio, roughly 3 parts carbon to 1 part nitrogen. The carbon comes from straw, old hay, or shredded leaves, while the nitrogen is supplied through cow or horse manure. This 3-to-1 balance prevents overheating and ensures slow, steady decomposition. If you add too much nitrogen, you risk creating a hot, anaerobic mess that drives worms away. But at this ratio, the decomposition stays cool and aerobic, exactly the environment worms prefer. To boost microbial activity, the Amish add a small amount of fermented starter, traditionally made from leftover whey sour milk or even rice water. This inoculant introduces beneficial lactic acid bacteria that accelerate breakdown without depleting oxygen. Once spread across the soil surface, this mixture forms a living mulch that retains just enough moisture to keep microbial and worm activity going even during drought or frost. A practical way to recreate this is to mix 3 buckets of dry straw or leaves with 1 bucket of aged manure and sprinkle in half a liter of fermented liquid. Toss the mixture together until lightly moist, then spread it about 2 inches thick over your garden beds. Within a week, you'll start noticing the layer becoming darker and softer, a sign that the microbes have begun their work. Worms sense this shift almost immediately and move upward to graze. Worms are creatures of habit. If their environment changes too drastically, they migrate or burrow deeper. The Amish understand this, so they maintain consistent conditions by layering their mulch in cycles instead of turning or removing it. Every few weeks they add a thin sprinkle of new organic material right on top of the old. Over time, this builds a rich, spongy humus layer that stays active even in cold weather. The consistent food source means worms never need to leave the upper layers of soil, and because the surface remains covered, moisture is trapped beneath. In the winter months, this system acts like an insulating blanket. Even when snow covers the ground, the decomposition process underneath generates mild heat, keeping the soil slightly warm. That warmth is enough to sustain microbial life, which in turn sustains worm populations. By spring, when most gardens are hard and lifeless, Amish soils are already teeming with activity and ready for planting. The Amish rarely use hoses or sprinklers. Instead, they rely on the natural water retention of their soil system. The mulch layer acts like a sponge, absorbing rainfall and dew, then slowly releasing moisture into the soil below. This prevents both drying out in summer and waterlogging during wet seasons. For gardeners trying this method, the trick is to maintain mulch moisture comparable to a wrung-out sponge, damp but never soggy. If your mulch dries out, worms retreat. If it becomes saturated, they suffocate. During extremely dry months, a light watering with diluted molasses water or rice water, about 1 tablespoon per litre, every week can help maintain microbial activity and keep the worm food web alive. The sugars feed microbes, which multiply and create conditions worms thrive in. That's how you avoid population drops when the rest of the soil ecosystem shuts down. You know, the biggest mistake modern gardeners make is leaving soil exposed after harvest. Bare soil loses moisture, bakes under the sun, and, well, it becomes biologically dead. The Amish never let that happen. The moment a crop comes out, a new cover goes in, even if it's just a layer of mulch or a cold weather cover crop like clover or rye. This constant coverage prevents erosion, traps organic matter, and gives worms something to work on through every season. A good approach for home gardeners is to keep 2 alternating layers in rotation, one decomposing, one fresh. The bottom layer feeds the soil, the top protects it. Over months, they merge into one rich, worm-filled mat. This not only sustains worm populations, but also builds soil carbon faster than any fertilizer or compost alone. The Amish system proves you don't need store-bought worm castings, bagged compost, or synthetic fertilizers to maintain living soil. By balancing moisture, organic carbon, and microbial food sources, you create an environment worms never want to leave. In return, the worms continuously produce castings rich in plant-available nutrients, effectively turning your garden into a self-sustaining soil factory. If your goal is to build fertile, worm-rich soil that stays alive through droughts and winters alike, start by adopting this steady layered approach. Keep feeding the soil small amounts year-round rather than in big seasonal bursts. Protect it from exposure, maintain moisture, and support microbial life with light fermentation or natural inoculants. Over time, you'll notice the same results. The Amish enjoy soil that stays soft, productive, and full of worms, no matter the season. If you found this guide helpful and want more time-tested, practical soil-building knowledge, subscribe to Soil Doctor and share this video with your fellow gardeners. The more we learn from traditional methods like these, the closer we get to truly living soil that never sleeps.